Another edition of Outside Shots presented by TheLines.com. You can follow us on X at TheLines.US, and you can follow me at Eli Hershkovich. Remember, if you haven't signed up with BetMGM Sportsbook and you're looking for some bonus bets, you can get said bonus bets, $150 worth of bonus bets with promo code TheLines, one word, with your first $5 cash wager or deposit. For more information, head over to TheLines.com. Over at that site, you can also get the Line staff's free NCAA tournament picks or conference tournament picks. If it's still that time of year and you're watching this over the weekend, you can get those picks for free in our Discord channel. The link is over at thelines.com in the top right-hand corner. But let's say you're starting to conjure up the best strategy to make for your NCAA tournament bracket. First and foremost, step number one, sign up with Pool Genius. It's a $35 offer. And if you haven't signed up for FanDuel or BetMGM Sportsbook, the aforementioned operator, you can get it for free by registering in the link below. Now, it's only $37 if you don't want to register or are already registered with both of those operators, and that's a $28 discount. So a fantastic deal that includes NCAA tournament picks, bracket pool selections, and even a Calcutta assistance tool. So 3 tools for the price of $37. You can't get much better. Sign up in the description link. Now, let's say step number 2, you're in a small office pool, 10 to 15 people, maybe even a 5-person pool with your friends. You're not going to want to take a lot of quote-unquote long shots or surprise teams to make the Final Four, because the likelihood is, for the most part, you're putting yourself at risk with the notion that 10 people in an 11-person bracket pool are not going to be taking long shots. So you're going to be putting yourself at a disadvantage, because the likelihood of said long shots making it to the Final Four or even winning the national championship are very slim. Think about it. Last year, the likelihood of 1 or even 2 people in a very small pool for the March Madness bracket picking number 9 seed FAU to go to the Final Four, very slim to none. 2018, Loyola Chicago, 11 seed, making the Final Four. Also very small chance that anybody in a small bracket pool were picking the Ramblers to go on a big run, unless you were from Chicago, like myself. And then you go back to 2017, South Carolina making the Final Four as a 7 seed. So you get the gist. Let's look at some of the favorites to make the Final Four. UConn, minus 110. These odds courtesy of FanDuel Sportsbook. Houston, plus 125. Purdue, plus 165. North Carolina, plus 260. Arizona, plus 310. All good options to make the Final Four in your smaller bracket pool. Auburn also on the list, plus 390. A team that I actually bet as a long shot to win the national championship at 80-1 going back to November. But now they're one of the favorites to make the Final Four and, of course, win the national title. Looking at some high variance teams, though, that you would want to bet as a long shot in a larger office pool or any sort of pool you may be joining, but you don't want to necessarily bet at the short price they're listed at to make the Final Four or pick to make the Final Four in your pool for March Madness. Let's start off with Creighton. High variance team because they shoot a lot of threes, yet they're priced at 6-1. So I'd rather take a long shot that shoots and makes a lot of threes at 20-1, or has a much bigger seed in that sense, correlated to the odds. I wouldn't necessarily want to look at Creighton, even in a smaller pool. Alabama, same thing. Also much worse than Creighton on the defensive end, but high variance team because they shoot a lot of threes. So you get it from there. On to if you're in a larger office pool or any sort of NCAA tournament bracket pool, the strategy to go with is by taking said upsets, whether it's early on or teams to make the Final Four. Because if you're trying to cut down on let's say 100, 150 person office pool and make your way up the rankings, you're going to have people taking favorites, of course, just like if it was a smaller pool, but you have to try to create your own high variance situations by taking some long shots. So the teams over at FanDuel Sportsbook that kind of meet the cut for me in that regard, of course, depending on the bracket and depending on the matchups, as I'm recording this a couple days in advance of the bracket coming out, Wisconsin, 23-1. Clemson, Final Four future I actually have in my pocket, priced at 23-1 as well. Colorado, 35-1. Mississippi State, 35-1. St. John's, 36-1. Colorado State, 40-1. And the Pitt Panthers, if they make the tournament, at 95-1. Let's start off with the last team I mentioned in Pitt, a team that attempts a lot of threes and makes a lot of threes. Top 35 in both three-point scoring rate and three-point attempt rate. So they can create their own high variance if those threes are falling. And If they do so, they can certainly make a deep run in March. Also, elite on the glass, which is huge, especially when your shots aren't falling and you're very three-point heavy. You're going to want a team that can also generate second chance shots. Going back to Creighton, they don't do that. How about St. John's at around 36-1, a team that I also bet to make the Final Four? Good defensive team. They create a lot of turnovers, a variable that could be thrown in to a high variance game in a one-game format, which is exactly what March Madness is, round by round. St. John's also, offensive rebounding-wise, they generate a top 5 offensive rebounding clip. That's huge, especially when you're trying to create some havoc and variance in a one-game scenario. Joel Soriano is also playing extremely well, and he's a key to St. John's generating some of those second chance opportunities, which wasn't the case for him when he went through his lull a few weeks ago. So backtracking a little bit, step 1, sign up for Pool Genius. Step 2, if you're in a smaller office pool, you don't want to take long shots. And step 3, the opposite, antithesis of that, if you're in a big 100, 150 person office pool, you're going to want to take long shots. That's going to do it for this bracket pool advice show on Outside Shots here on the Lines YouTube channel. Thanks for watching and listening. So long, everybody, and good luck with your March Madness picks.